Yes, this is John G. Sutton, and here we are at Tales from the Jails. Today I'm going to talk about retribution in prison. Now, inmates are summarily assaulted and punished for their offences by other inmates, not by staff, not by the courts, but by their fellow prisoners. This quite often happens to sex offenders, who have molested children. Very often, it's a dangerous place, is prison. But if you look in the press today, I believe it's in the papers today, there was an inmate whose name was Dean Kenyon, a 35-year-old former resident of a place called Seaham, near Sunderland. Yeah. Up in the Durham area, and he was just been sentenced to 6 years imprisonment for attacking and injuring a 79-year-old lady. He grabbed her handbag and pushed her over. She fell onto the floor and broke her hip, and has been hospitalised since, and he seriously injured her. It wasn't the first time he'd done this. Apparently Dean Kenyon, look this up, don't take my word for it, was a drug addict, and he was stealing the money, or stealing whatever he could get to fund his drug addiction. I never in my life have taken any manner of marijuana or anything like that. I've had heroin when I was in hospital, seriously injured and ill, but even then I refused to have heroin. I said, no, I'll just give me some aspirin or something, I'll bear the pain. You don't want to get addicted to these things, so better not. Anyway, Dean Kenyon, he was in prison, and the other inmates grabbed him and poured boiling water all over his legs and his arms. Seriously. And this so severely scalded him that he was taken to hospital, where he had to undergo a series of skin grafts, because the boiling water had removed the skin. That's a typical kind of jail retribution, where the inmates say they boil the water up. Some of them have got access to cookies, that they can use. They have like a little kitchen in some prisons, but they boil the water up and they add sugar, yeah. So the sugar makes the mix sticky, and it sticks to the skin, instead of it just, like if you've got boiling water on your hand, if you've been making a cup of tea, accidentally get it on your hand, you just brush it off and get it under the cold tap. But you can't do that if it's got sugar in it and it's sticky. It sticks to your skin. So that's what he received. Dean Kenyon, age 35, for seriously injuring a 79-year-old lady. Can you imagine the terror of that? Yeah, going at your grandmother, going out, yeah, and being molested by some drug addicted lunatic, robbing their handbag. How sad is that? Anyway, that's what he got. That was his retribution. But I've seen others. Strange ways. There was a great big dark-skinned black man, yeah, and he was throwing his weight around, bullying the smaller inmates and stealing their tobacco and what have you. This is in I think it was 1982, yeah. And I was a hospital officer, and he was brought in, and what the other inmates had done to him was a gang of them, maybe 4 or 5, had jumped him, and despite the fact that he was about 18 stone with arms like Charles Atlas, a great big muscular guy, a bit like Schwarzenegger kind of thing, but a black man, and about 6'4", massive fella, they got him down on the floor and they got a razor blade and they sliced him all over his body. He must have had 50, 60 slices all over him. Yeah, on all the skin, because he was so toned up and big and strong, all the skin had split. Yeah, there was a team of us, well, two of us stitched him up. Yeah, literally with sutures. Yeah, into the skin, out, tied off. Next one. He must have had about 500 stitches. It was covered in cuts. That was one retribution, and it really hurt him, you know. But I believe he never did any kind of bullying again. It's a dangerous thing in prison, bullying. If you come unstuck. I mean, we've talked previously about Paul Sykes being a bully. He got away with it to a certain extent until he started trying to throw his weight around with the staff in strange ways. Now, I know that there's people been criticising my approach to the way that we dealt with the likes of Paul Sykes. Somebody called Ding Dong Ray Hill, I think his name is, a former prisoner who's got a channel on here, and Ding Dong's criticising me for, I think he said I was laughing at the idea that we'd had to inject Paul Sykes. Well, you got to have a sense of humour, don't forget. And in prisons they have what's known as the gallows humour, you know, where they where you look at all the scenario. If you didn't have that sense of humour, you go mad. Seriously, you've got to see the funny side of life, despite the fact that it's terrible. So there's a couple of instances. Boiling water that they pour over the inmates. That's a standard practice. That you can expect that if you've been molesting children, doing various horrible offences, that people in the prison believe that you should be punished not just with imprisonment but with some disfigurement. Yeah, I have seen people slashed across the head, and as I previously mentioned, one of my colleagues was slashed down his face and it missed his jugular vein very narrowly. And why they used to issue, I don't know if they do anymore, but they used to issue inmates with a razor blade, and they had an old-fashioned razor, you know, so you had a shave. I mean, obviously I've not had a shave for a bit, as you probably noticed, yeah. But they give them razor blades, yeah. But they give them the razor blades out down his face, yeah. So dangerous place, prisons. The idea is don't commit offences like that. Yeah, seriously, that's just a little thing. The bastard who got boiling water all over his legs and arms, he's doing 6 years. His name's Dean Kenyon. If you look him up on Google, I think you'll see something about him. He was from a place called Seaham near Sunderland, and he has been dealt with in prison. Not that I personally condone it, but it's the way of the world, isn't it? Tales from the jails. I sincerely hope maybe you've subscribed. And thank you for watching.